My mother's scream echoed around the house at 6 in the morning. I woke up with my heart hitting hard, bare feet running down the cold corridor. It was a wedding day, my brother Raphael's wedding, and my mother was locked in the bathroom, sobbing in a way that I had never heard before, an air without air, desperate, as if the floor had opened under it. "Mother?" I called, knocking on the door. "Mom, what is it?" Silence. Only the noise of the dripping tap and the muffled cry. It was my father who appeared in the hallway, tied, dragging the slippers. He knocked on the door tightly. "Teresa, open it now. We have to leave in 2 hours." But she didn't open it. She just cried. And when finally managed to speak, the voice came out trembling, broken. I don't have hair anymore." My father stopped. I stopped. The whole world stopped. "What do you mean there is no hair?" he asked, annoyed, as if she was exaggerating. The door opened slowly, and I saw. My mother was there, with white nightgown, her red face from crying, and the head, completely bald. I didn't have a single wire, as if someone had shaved everything at night, every lock, every piece. It disappeared. I was 12 years old, and at that moment, I learned that the world could be much more cruel than I imagined. And let me come back a little. Let me tell you who my mother was before that day, because you need to understand what was taken from it, which was destroyed with such cruelty. My mother always had beautiful hair, brown, thick, wavy. She took care of him like a jewel. I woke up early every Sunday to moisturize, comb, let it shine. He spent hours there, with those cream pots, massaging every lock with love. I loved sitting on the bathroom floor and seeing her taking care of the wires. She hummed softly, and sometimes let me put the brush. "One day you'll have beautiful hair too, Sophia," she said, smiling in the mirror. "Just take care of love." My father lived complaining about the time she spent in the bathroom, but deep down he liked it. He liked when she released her hair and smiled at him. I would like to put my hand on her curls when I thought I wasn't seeing. They were small gestures, but I saw that hair was part of her identity, of her beauty, the trust she had. But in recent months, before marriage, she was different, tired, always running, always trying to please everyone. The hair was stuck in a tight, dull, lifeless ponytail. She had no time to take care of him. There was no time for anything. My brother Raphael was 25. He was the eldest son, the family's pride. Graduated in engineering, worked in a large company, earned well. He had his own car, rented apartment, a life that my parents could never give him as a child. My father always talked about him with a stuffed chest, as if it were a personal achievement, and he was going to marry Fabiana. Fabiana was difficult to describe. Beautiful, very beautiful. Blonde hair, light eyes, a perfect smile she wore as a weapon. Friendly when I wanted to, but I had a way of looking at the people that made me cold in my belly, as if she were always calculating something, measuring, judging. She arrived in our family 6 months earlier. Raphael brought her on a lunch Sunday, all proud, saying she was the woman of his life. My mother, as always, was excited. He prepared the table, all ordered, made rice with beans, roasted chicken, neat crumbs. He put the good towel, the dishes he only used on special occasions, even flowers she put in the center of the table. Fabiana arrived in white dress and high heels. He smiled, hugged my mother, praised the house. But I saw the way she looked at the songs, for the old couch with the cloak, for faded curtains, for simple alliance on my mother's finger, for cement floor that my father always promised to exchange but never had money. She smiled, but it wasn't a real smile. It was a smile of those who were cataloging defects. During lunch, she barely touched the food. He said he was on a diet. My mother was embarrassed, offering other things, trying to please. Fabiana just shook her head, delicate, and stayed on her cell phone. Raphael did not notice, or pretended not to realize, and from there, everything changed. My mother was the one who organized the whole wedding. Fabiana had no family around. The parents had died in an accident, she said, and the relatives were distant. There was no one to help with anything, so my mother took everything. She always assumed everything. It was of her nature. If anyone needed it, she would go there and solve. She was the one who chose the buffet, who ran after decoration, who negotiated with the church, who called 6 halls until he found one that fit in Ament. She took the bank loan to help pay for the party. He didn't tell my father, but I heard her talking to the manager over the phone, the low voice, asking for a longer deadline. "After all, he's my son, Sophia," she told me one night, tired as she ran her hand on the budget papers spread across the kitchen table. "And if I don't, who will do it?" I was 12 years old, but I already understood that this question was not for me. It was for herself, as if she were trying to convince herself that it was worth it. My father complained about the money. He said that Raphael was already an adult, that he earned well, that he and the bride who became. But my mother insisted. She always insisted on doing everything alone, in carrying everyone on the back, to be strong when no one else was. Fabiana, on the other hand, barely appeared. When he came home, he was on his cell phone. I didn't help to bend invitation. I did not opine in the decoration. He just agreed with his head, smiled, and went out to solve things. But it never said that things were these. I noticed. He noticed the way she looked at the old glasses we used. For the cake my mother made to test recipe, and that was a little crooked. For my mother's hair stuck in a simple ponytail, no makeup, no time to get ready. And noticed her smile, always that little smile, as if she knew something we didn't know. One afternoon, 2 weeks before the wedding, I was in the room doing homework when I heard voices in the kitchen. My mother and Fabiana were talking, or rather, Fabiana was talking, and my mother was listening. "You know, Teresa, I really admire you," Fabiana said, with that sweet voice. "Take care of this house alone, work, still have time to organize the wedding. It must be so tiring." "Ah, I turn," my mother replied modest. "That's what we do, right? Mother always finds a way." "Yeah, but I'm thinking, Raphael deserves so much. He worked so much to get where he arrived. I want to do everything the best for him. A beautiful house, a comfortable life. You know how it is." There was a break. I stopped writing. "Of course," my mother said, the voice a little lower. "Not that here is not good," Fabiana rushed to say. "It's cozy. It has history. But it's different, right? It is another pattern. Another pattern. As if my mother's life was inferior. As if decades of work and sacrifice were not worth anything because the couch was old. I felt angry. Anger from that woman who arrived recently and was already judging everything. But my mother said nothing. She just muttered "Yeah, it's really different," and changed the subject. That night, I saw her sitting on the edge of her bed, looking into the mirror. She ran a hand over her hair slowly and sighed. It seemed so tired, so small. In the wedding week, my mother barely slept. She woke up at 5 in the morning to finish the last adjustments, confirm with the priest, seek the alliances, run in the hall, solve a problem with the buffet that said the payment had been late, even if it had paid on the right date. She lost weight. I saw the clothes getting wide. I saw the dark circles, but she didn't stop. I couldn't stop. That Friday, a day before the big day, she went to the hairdresser. He spent a part of the money he had saved to make a brush and hydration. She deserved it. It deserved to feel beautiful, even for a day. He came back in the late afternoon, and when he opened the door, I was open. The hair was impeccable, soft waves shining, smelling the expensive conditioner. She looked 10 years younger. It looked like herself again. She smiled when she entered the room, spinning slowly to show me. "So, daughter, what did you think?" "It's perfect, Mom," I said, and my voice was embargoed. "You look beautiful, the most beautiful." She blushed. My mother worked so much. She gave so much that someone rarely praised her. And seeing her happy, even if it was for a second, made me happy too. I wanted her to feel like this always. Beautiful, important, loved. My father looked and gave a half smile. "It was good," he said, and returned to the newspaper. She didn't call, or pretended not to call. He only ran his hand in the wires, carefully, as if he was afraid to ruin. Bondi. That night, Fabiana spent home to get some last-minute things. She entered without beating, as she always did, and found my mother in the kitchen finishing packing the well-married bags. Fabiana stopped. He looked at my mother's hair, and that smile appeared. "Wow, Teresa, it was really beautiful," she said. Her voice dragged. "You're going to steal the scene tomorrow, huh?" My mother laughed, embarrassed. "Imagine, daughter, the day is yours. You will be beautiful." "Ah, I know," Fabiana answered, crossing her arms. "But it's good to know that you have taken care of yourself. It will take beautiful photos. Everyone will notice." There was something in that tone, something it was praise. Was warning? Threat? I couldn't define it, but it bothered me. Fabiana spent a few more minutes, stirring her cell phone, and before leaving, she opened her bag and took a small bottle with a dark liquid inside. "Ah, Teresa, I almost forget. I brought this to Lady." "What is it?" my mother asked, taking the glass. "Tea. Blend soothing that a friend of mine does. It is natural, super relaxing. I know you are stressed with so much. Taking this before bed, you will rest well. It will wake up renewed tomorrow." My mother looked at the bottle, played. "How kind, Fabiana. Thank you very much." "It's the least I can do after everything you did for me and Raphael," Fabiana said, and for the first time the smile seemed almost sincere. Almost. She left soon after, and I stayed there with a tightness in my chest. Something in that gesture, it wasn't right, but I was just a child. What did I know? That night my mother took the tea, took everything. She said she was tasty, with chamomile and herbs. He said he was already feeling his body relax. She went to sleep early, rare, usually stayed late finishing something. But that night, at 9 o'clock, she was already in bed. I went to bed midnight. I spent in front of her room to give goodnight, but the door was closed. I hit lightly. Nothing. I called. Nothing. She was sleeping deeply. I didn't know, but at that moment, on the other side of the door, Something horrible was happening. And then it came that morning. The scream, the door, the hair missing. My mother panicked. He ran his hands on his smooth, shaking head, as if he didn't believe what he was seeing. It touched the skin. Desperate fingers looking for something, anything, that proving it was a nightmare. No, it can't be real, she murmured, her voice failing. My father stood in shock. He didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. I just looked, gaping, while my mother collapsed. I looked at her pillow. I had no hair at all. Not a wire, not a mecca, nothing on the floor, nothing in the sheet. As if he had been scraped while she slept, without a trail, and then someone had cleaned everything. Someone did that, she whispered, her voice breaking. Someone came in here and did this to me. Teresa, are you crazy? My father countered, annoyed. Who was going to do such a thing? The door was locked. I don't know, but it didn't fall alone. Look at me, look. She was right. That was not hair loss. That was shaved, full, necessary, surgical. As if someone had used a hair-cutting machine while she slept deeply. So deeply she felt nothing. And that's when I remembered. Fabiana had come the night before. She brought the tea, the soothing tea, the tea that made my mother sleep like a stone. My stomach froze. Mom, I started, the voice coming out trembling. Mother, Fabiana. What, Sophia? She asked, still in shock. Tea. She brought tea for Lady to take before bed. My mother blinked, sued, and her face was pale. No, she wouldn't do that. No, but the doubt was already there, planted, growing up. We tried everything. We called some halls, but none opened anytime soon. And even if they opened, what were they going to do? Hair paste? I didn't have time for decent wig. There was nothing. My mother cried without stopping. She sat on the edge of the bed, her shoulders shaking, and covered her face with her hands. I won't, she said, the stuffy voice. I won't make it. Not like that. You have to go, Teresa, my father shouted. It's your child's wedding. Of your child. How am I going to appear like this, Marcos? Everyone will look. Everyone will laugh. No one will laugh at all. You put a handkerchief, a cap. I don't know. But you go. It won't spoil Raphael's day because of that. Because of that. As if it was her fault. As if she had chosen to wake up without hair. I approached, took her hand. Mom, we go together. I stay by your side all the time. I promise. She looked at me, her red eyes, and squeezed my hand tightly, and she went. Because my mother always did what she needed to be done, even when she hurt, even when they humiliated her, even when they took it even to dignity. She tied a handkerchief to her head, a light blue silk scarf that sometimes wore to sleep. He passed a heavy makeup to hide his swollen eyes. He put the green dress he had bought 3 months earlier, all excited, wondering how beautiful it would look. Now she just wanted to disappear, and we went to marriage. The church was beautiful, white flowers everywhere, golden ribbons tied on benches, candles lit on the sides. The seats were full of elegant people, relatives of my father, friends of Raphael, colleague of his work, and Fabiana. Everyone tidy, fragrant, happy, taking pictures, laughing. And my mother entered with her head covered, her face low, trying not to draw attention, but called. Of course it called. People looked, whitening. They pointed discreetly. What happened to her? Why are you scarf? How strange. Is it sick? Poor. My mother sat on the front seat, next to my father. I sat next to her and held her hand. It was cold, trembled. It's all right, Mother, I whispered, trying to believe in my own words. She didn't answer. He just looked forward, his eyes teary, his body tense, as if waiting for the worst, as if you knew that the worst was yet to come. And it was. The music started, the bridal march. Everyone got up. The doors of the church opened, and the bride entered. Fabiana was stunning. Impeccable white dress, long tail, delicate embroidery, perfect makeup, as if it had left a magazine. And the hair stuck in an elegant bun with delicate white flowers, each wire in place, shining. She smiled to everyone, waved. I played kisses. It looked like an angel, the perfect bride, the princess of the fairy tale. And when she passed our bank, she slowed down, just a little, just enough to look straight at my mother, and smiled. It was not a kind smile. It was not a smile of affectionate daughter-in-law thanking for everything. It was not a smile of empathy. It was the smile of those who had won, who had destroyed, who knew exactly what he had done and was proud of it. Her eyes met my mother's, and in that second, everything became clear. My mother swallowed dry. A tear went down her face, and she quickly cleaned with her hand. Fabiana kept walking, light, radiant, to the altar where my brother was waiting for her, thrilled, not knowing anything. That day, 12, sitting on that church bench, holding my mother's shaking hand, I learned something I never forgot. Evil wears elegant disguises. And as Fabiana rose to the altar, radiant, my mother hid her face under the blue handkerchief, and I swore right there that one day I was going to find out the truth, that one day I was going to prove what she had done, because in the Fabiana bag, opened slightly on the side as she held the bouquet, I saw the tip of a cloth bent in a hurry, stained, brown stained, the exact color of my mother's hair, and at that moment, I knew it had not been an accident. I learned that it had not been a disease. I knew it had been planned, calculated, cruel. That day I learned that pain in the eyes of those we love is the worst pain there is, and I never forgot. The ceremony was quick, or at least it seemed quick to me, because I didn't take my mother's eyes all the time. She was sitting on the rigid bench, her hands intertwined so hard that her fingers were white. The blue handkerchief covered her head, but did not hide her shame. He didn't hide the way she tried to make herself small, invisible, as if she could disappear right there. The priest talked about love, commitment, family. He talked about the ties that unite people forever. And I looked at my brother, all smiling on the altar, holding the Fabiana's hand, and thought, he knows nothing. He has no idea what she is capable. When the priest said, "You can kiss the bride," everyone applauded. Fabiana threw the bouquet, the women ran to get, and my mother sat, looking at her own hands. I held her hand again. She squeezed back, but didn't look at me. I think I was afraid that if I looked, it would crumble right there. The reception was in a rental hall about 20 minutes from the church. Round tables with white towels, flower arrangements in the center, a buffet full of expensive food that my mother had helped pay. All impeccable, all perfect. And my mother entered that hall as if she was entering an arena. Everyone looked, everyone whispered. She kept her head up, but I saw the effort it cost. "Teresa!" A distant aunt came running, with that pretended way of worry. "My God, what happened? Why are you scarf?" "I had a problem of skin," my mother lied, the low voice. "Nothing serious. But soon today. What a bad luck, right? You were so excited about the wedding." Unlucky. As if it were unlucky. As if it were coincidence. My mother only gave a forced smile and walked away, going straight to the groom's parents' table. The table where she should be happy, proud, radiant. But she was there, hidden under a handkerchief, destroyed. My father sat next to her, but said nothing. It did not comfort her, did not defend her. He only stayed there, talking to his uncles, laughing at a silly joke, as if nothing had happened. I stayed by my mother all the time, and that's when I started to watch. Realm watch you. Fabiana was in the center of the salon, like a queen. Everyone went to her to greet, take a picture, praise the dress, the hairstyle, the bouquet. She smiled, thanked him, pose. And every once in a while, she looked at our table. I looked at my mother, and smiled like that. I saw when she approached in the middle of the reception, holding a glass of champagne. "Teresa," she said, the sweet voice like poisoned Mel. "Glad you came, even with everything." "Of course, Fabiana," my mother replied tense. "I wasn't going to lose my son's wedding." "Yeah, it must have been hard to decide to come like this, right? With the scarf. But the lady is beautiful the same way. Everyone is commenting as you are strong." "Strong." She said strong, like an insult. "Thank you," my mother whispered. Fabiana leaned, like a hug, but whispered something in my mother's ear. Something I couldn't hear. But I saw my mother's face pale. I saw her eyes fill with tears. Fabiana walked away, smiling, and returned to the center of the salon, where my brother was waiting for her to dance the waltz. "Mom, what did she say?" I asked softly. "Nothing, Sophia, nothing." But it was nothing. I knew it was nothing. I needed to find out the truth. I needed to prove it had been her, because no one else was going to do that. My father didn't believe it. My brother was blinded with passion, and my mother was too destroyed to fight. So I, 12, decided it was going to be me. I was going to find out. I was going to prove it. I started to pay attention to everything, in the way Fabiana spoke, in the way she looked, in the things she did when she thought no one was seeing. During the reception, I saw her enter the bathroom with the bag, the same bag from where I had seen the stained cloth. I waited a little and got in behind. The bathroom was empty except for a closed cabin. I heard water running. I heard the noise of something being rubbed, and then silence. I hid in a cabin, climbing the vase for no one to see my feet. The door opened. Fabiana left, looked in the mirror, straightened her hair, passed lipstick, and threw something in the trash. She left. I waited a few seconds and went down. I went to the trash and saw a cloth, wet, still with brown spots, even after washed, and there was something else. Small strands of hair stuck to the fabric. My heart fired. I took the cloth with my fingertips, wrapped it on a paper towel and put it on the backpack I had taken. Proof. I had a test. But it was not enough. I knew no one would believe in a 12-year-old. I needed more. I needed to understand how she had done it. As I had entered the room, shaved my mother's whole hair without her waking up. And then I remembered. The tea. That tea that Fabiana had given to my mother the night before. When we returned home after the reception, it was night. My mother went straight to the room, without dinner, not talking to anyone. My father turned on the TV and watched football, as if it were any day. I went to my mother's room. I knocked lightly on the door. "Mother?" "Enter, daughter." She was sitting on the bed, still dressed, but had taken off her handkerchief. The bald head reflected the weak light of the lamp. She ran her hand through her smooth skin, slowly, as if she didn't believe it yet. "It will grow up again, Mom," I said, sitting beside her. "I know," she replied, but her voice had no hope. "But that doesn't erase what happened. Do not erase the humiliation." I hugged her, and we stayed there in silence for a long time. So I asked, "Mom, do you still have that bottle? The tea that Fabiana brought?" She frowned. "I think so. Why?" "Just curiosity." She got up, went to the dresser, and took her empty bottle. It was in the drawer, along with other medicines. "It's here." "Why, Sophia? Can I stay with him?" She looked at me confused, but delivered. "He can. But why?" "I just want to keep it, to remember." It was not a lie. I wanted to keep it, but not to remember, to prove. In the following days, I started researching. We had an old computer at home, with dial-up internet that took an eternity to carry anything. But I had patience. I researched substances that make the person sleep deeply, about medicines, herbs, teas, and I found it. I found reports of people who had been doped with beverages benzodiazepines, people who slept so deeply that they didn't wake up even if anyone moved them. And I found something else, about chemical hair removal. Strong depilatory creams, used to remove hair quickly and total. If applied to the scalp, they could remove all the hair in a matter of minutes, and if the person was doped, he would feel nothing. My stomach rolled. It was that. That's exactly what she had done. But I still created more evidence. I needed something that would connect Fabiana directly to the crime. I started to remember everything that had happened in the months before marriage, and I noticed a pattern. Fabiana always commented on my mother's appearance, always subtly disguised as compliment or worry. "Wow, Teresa, are you with dark circles? Don't you go sleeping well? This hair is so beautiful. You must take a job to take care of, right? You should take care of yourself more. Enjoy that you still have time." And my mother, always modest, always without realizing the evil behind, just thanked and changed the subject. But now I saw it. Via that Fabiana was planting seeds, making my mother feel inferior, preparing the terrain for the final blow. And the hair. She always mentioned her hair, as if it were an obsession. One afternoon I was at my grandmother's house when I heard my aunt talking to her in the kitchen. "Teresa is very bad, Mother. Don't leave home. Don't talk to anyone. It's ashamed." "Ashamed what?" my grandmother asked, annoyed. "It wasn't her fault. We know. But people talk. They say it was a disease, which was stress, that she must have done something wrong for the hair to fall like this. Silly. Hair doesn't fall out of nowhere. So it is. I find it strange too. And do you know what is weird? The Fabiana." My grandmother stopped moving the coffee. "What does Fabiana have?" "I don't know, but she's different. From marriage." "Okay. Strange." Too smiling. "As if you had won something." My grandmother didn't answer, but I saw her frown, thoughtfully. And I thought, it's not just me. Other people are also noticing. I thought again at night before the wedding. Fabiana had brought the tea, my mother had taken, and had slept deeply. But how had Fabiana entered the room? The door was locked. Or was it? I went to my mother, who was in the room watching TV without paying attention. "Mom, can I ask one thing?" "Of course, daughter." "That night, the night before the wedding, did you locate the bedroom door?" She thought. "I think so. Always lock." "Why? And was the father there?" "No. He slept in the room because he had drunk and didn't want to wake me up. Then the door was locked. But somehow someone had entered, and the only person with reason was Fabiana. But how? And then I remembered. I remembered something I had seen weeks before. Fabiana had come home to get some things. She had climbed alone to my mother's room to return a pan she had borrowed. And I had seen her stop at the door, looking at the lock, as if studying. At the time, I didn't think so much about it. But now it made sense. She had made a copy of the key. I knew it seemed crazy. I knew no one would believe me, but I had to try. I went to my mother's room and looked at the lock. It was an old, simple lock. Any keychain made a copy. And Fabiana was smart. She had planned everything. I needed more. I needed something concrete, something she couldn't deny. And then I had an idea. If she had used depilatory cream, she had to have bought somewhere. And if she had bought, she had a record, invoice, credit card, something. But how was I going to get it? I was a child. I had no access to anything, unless I remembered that Fabiana had left her bag at home once. When she left in a hurry, Raphael had taken her the next day. But what if she forgot again? What if I had a chance to look inside? I just needed one opportunity. Minim. The 2 weeks after the wedding, Raphael and Fabiana came to lunch at home. My mother had returned to cooking, but she still wore scarves and caps to cover her head. The hair was starting to grow, but it was just a thin shadow, almost invisible. Fabiana arrived all friendly. hugged my mother, praised the food, as if nothing had happened, as if she had not destroyed someone's life. After lunch, she went to the bathroom and left the bag in the living room. My heart fired. It was now. It was my chance. I looked around. Everyone was in the kitchen, talking. I approached the bag slowly, silent. I opened the zipper. Inside there was a wallet, cell phone, makeup, keys, and an envelope. I took the envelope. Inside had receipts, pharmacy receipts. I looked at the dates. It was 3 days before the marriage, and there it was. Professional depilatory cream. Quantity, 3 units. My blood froze. I kept the receipt in my pocket and closed the bag quickly. When Fabiana returned, I was sitting on the couch, quiet, as if nothing had happened. She looked at me, and for a second, I saw something in her eyes, suspicion. But she smiled and continued to convert Rosando. I had the test. Now I just needed to decide what to do with her. That night, lying on the bed, I looked at the things I had gathered, the stained cloth, the empty bottle of tea, the receipt of the depilatory cream, 3 tests, 3 pieces of a puzzle that formed the image of a cruel, calculating woman who had destroyed my mother by pure evil. But I was still a child, and I knew that if I told someone, they would say I was imagining things, that I was being dramatic. I couldn't prove it. I needed something else, something undeniable. And then I heard voices from my mother's room. She was crying again, and my father was screaming. "You need to overcome this, Teresa. It's been 2 weeks. I can't, Marcos. I can't go out on the street. Everyone looks. No one is looking. You who stay with this paranoia. It's not paranoia. Someone did this to me, and you don't believe it, because it makes no sense. Who was going to do such a thing?" Fabiana. Silence. And then my father exploded. "Fabiana, did you go crazy? She is her daughter, in-law, Rafael's wife. Why was she going to do that?" "I don't know, Marcos, but I know it was her. You're delirious. And do you know what is worse? Rafael learned that you are talking badly about her. He called here, furiously. He said that if you continue with it, it doesn't come here anymore." My mother sobbed. "So that's like that? Can she do whatever she wants with me and I have to be quiet?" "It's not that. But you have no proof. And until you have, stop accusing your child's wife." I squeezed the tests against my chest. I had the tests, but they were not enough yet. And that's when I decided I was going to find out more. I was going to follow Fabiana. It was going to record, photograph, do whatever it was needed, because my mother deserved justice, and I was going to give it to her, even if it was the last thing I did. I was 13 when I became detective, not by choice, but because no one else was going to do this for my mother. The weeks after the wedding were the worst. My mother lived locked in the room. The hair started to grow, but it was just a thin, almost transparent hail. She wore a cap indoors, scarf when it came out, and with each passing day, she left less. The worst was not the hair. It was what they had done with her head, with her trust, with the will to live. "Sophia, come here." She called me an afternoon, her weak voice. I entered the room. She was sitting on the bed with a photo box on her lap. Old photos, her young with that beautiful hair loose in the wind, her marriage to my father, her holding my baby brother, from her smiling. "Look who I was," she said, passing her finger in a picture. "Look how beautiful I was. The lady is still, mother." She shook her head. "I'm nothing more, daughter. I'm nothing more." And at that moment, I swore I was going to prove the truth, even if it took years. I started following Fabiana, not literally, of course. I was a child. But every time she came home, I paid attention. He wrote things down, schedules, conversations, behaviors. I noticed a pattern. Fabiana always came when my father was home, but never when it was just my mother, as if she wanted witnesses for her performance, for perfect daughter, in-law mask. She brought gifts, flowers, chocolates, to cheer up the Lady Teresa, and my mother accepted, embarrassed, not knowing how to refuse. But I saw the smile when no one looked. I saw the way she touched the things of the house, as if she was evaluating everything, as if they were already owned. One day she brought a decoration magazine. "Teresa, look what a beautiful inspiration," she said, flipping through the pages. "When Rafael and I have a bigger house, I want to do it. All modern, all new. No, old furniture," she said, looking straight to the living room couch. The sofa my mother had bought with her first salary, 20 years ago. My father laughed. "Yeah, Teresa. One day we also change these old things, right?" My mother didn't answer. It only lowered its head. And Fabiana smiled. "Hangs nine duam." But the worst was yet to come. 2 weeks later, my brother called. I answered. He asked to talk to my mother. "Mom, Rafael wants to talk to you." She came to the room, a little suspicious. He took the phone. "Hello, son?" I couldn't hear what he said on the other side, but I could see my mother's face crumbling. But I didn't say any of that. "Rafael?" Silence. "I just said I thought it was strange, son. Just that. More silence. Please don't do that. You're my son. The tears began to fall. She tried to hold back the cry but couldn't. It's okay, sorry. I don't say anything else, I promise. She hung up. He stood there holding the phone until it began to sob, tall, desperate. What is it, Teresa? My father asked, annoyed. He said I have to stop inventing stories about Fabiana, that if I continue, it no longer comes here, that I'm causing a problem with their marriage. And you're really, my father shouted. Get these crazy ideas on your head. The woman did nothing. Yes, it did. She did. I know it was her. Proof. Where's the test? My mother had no answer, because the tests were with me, and I still didn't know how to use them. That night, my brother blocked my mother's number. She tried to call several times the following days. It didn't complete. He had cut contact, and my mother entered a spiral. Stopped eating right. He stopped leaving the house. Stopped talking. It was just in the room, looking at the wall, with the cap on the head. I was sitting next to her, silent, because I had nothing to say, because the words fixed nothing. But I had to act. I had to do something. So I went to my father. Dad, I need to say something. What's up, Sophia? It's about Fabiana. I think it was she who did that with her mother. He stopped reading the newspaper and looked at me. You too? I can't believe you are entering your mother's paranoia. It's not paranoia. I have evidence. He arched his eyebrow. Evidence? What evidence? I ran to the bedroom and took the box where I kept everything. The stained cloth, the bottle, the receipt. I showed him. Look, this is a cloth that was in her bag on their wedding day. It has hair from the mother stuck, and this is the tea glass she brought. The mother slept deeply after taking it, and this is the receipt. She bought depilatory cream 3 days before the wedding, 3 units. My father looked. He took the receipt, read. He frowned. For a second I thought he was going to believe it, that he was going to do something, but then he threw everything back in the box and sighed. Sophia, you are 12 years old. 13. You are a child. You don't understand how the world works. This here proves nothing. It can be coincidence. It may be that you are interpreting wrong. It's not a coincidence. And yes, and do you know what will happen if you go out saying this out there? You will destroy your brother's marriage. It will move him away from us for good. Is that what you want? I want justice to the mother. Life is not fair, Sophia, he shouted. Learn it soon. Sometimes we have to swallow things and move on. He got up and left, and I stayed there, holding my box of tests that no one wanted to see. The months passed. My mother's hair grew, slowly, thin. She started leaving home again, but always a cap or handkerchief, always peeled, always afraid of finding someone known. Raphael didn't come back, did not call, did not send a message, as if my mother had died. And Fabiana was living the best phase of her life. I saw it through social networks. She posted a photo every day. Dear restaurant, new clothes, trip. She and Raphael smiling, hugged, happy. And in the comments, everyone praised. Perfect couple. How beautiful. Goals relationship, if they knew. Until one day, 6 months after the wedding, my grandmother called. Teresa, you need to come here. Now. What is it, mother? Just come. I need to tell you something. We went to my grandmother's house. She was sitting in the kitchen, with the face of those who had seen a ghost. Sit here, Teresa. My mother sat down. I stood by the side. I found Donna Lucia today in the market. Do you know who it is? The mother of Raphael's ex-girlfriend. I know. So what? She told me something. He said her daughter, Jessica, ended with Raphael about 2 years ago. Do you know why? Why? Because a girl appeared, one of Fabiana, who began to pursue Jessica, send anonymous messages, threats. And you know what else? My grandmother paused. Jessica woke up one day without her eyebrows, scraped, while she slept. The blood froze in my veins. What? My mother whispered. That's right. They scraped her eyebrows as she slept. Jessica thought it had been an allergy of some product, but Donna Lucia always found it strange. And when she learned of what happened to you, Teresa, she connected the points. My mother was white. So she had done that before? It looks like yes. Fabiana was obsessed with Raphael. I wanted to get Jessica off the way, and did it. The girl was so traumatized that she ended with him. I couldn't stand it. We need to tell this to Raphael. He has to know. And do you think he'll believe it? My grandmother said, tired. He's blinded, passionate, manipulated, won't hear, but we have to try. My mother shook her head. It's no use, Sophia. He has already made it clear. Either I get quiet or I lose my son. But the lady has already lost. He no longer talks to you. There is nothing more to lose. He looked at me, his eyes full of tears. Yes, I have. I hope that one day he will come back. And if I accuse her again, he never comes back. And there, in that kitchen, I understood. I understood that my mother had been broken, that she had given up fighting. But I don't. I came home decided. I was going to do what no one else had the courage to do. I went to Jessica. I was going to talk to her. I was going to gather all the tests, and was going to expose the Fabiana. It didn't matter if no one believed in me. It didn't matter if I was just a child. I was going to do justice. I took Jessica's phone with Dona Lucia. My grandmother gave me. I sent a message. Hi, Jessica. My name is Sophia. I'm Raphael's sister. I really need to talk to you about Fabiana. Please. It took 2 hours, but she answered. I know who you are. Your grandmother told me what happened to your mother. I'm sorry. I wanted to warn you before, but I was afraid. Fear of what? From her. Fabiana is dangerous. She doesn't stop until she gets what she wants, and she wants Raphael just for her. Anyone who gets in the way, she destroys. My heart beat hard. Can you help me? I have some tests, but I need more. There was a long break. I can, but you have to promise one thing. What? When you expose her, you expose everything. It can't be pity, because if you fail, she goes after you too. Swallowed dry. I promise. So let's meet. I tell you everything I know. And I show you something I kept. What? The messages. I kept all the messages she sent me. Threats. Evidence. Everything. My heart almost exploded with hope. I had found an ally, and now we were going to overthrow Fabiana together. But what I didn't know at that moment was that Fabiana was one step ahead, because that same night she appeared at our house. Without warning. Alone. He knocked on the door. My father opened. Fabiana? What a surprise. Enter. She came in smiling, but there was something different from her. Something dark. Hi, Marcos. Sorry to appear like this, but I needed to talk to you. Speak what? She looked around. He saw me on the stairs. Smiled. It's about Sophia. My blood froze. What does Sophia have? My father asked, confused. Look, I didn't want to be the person to say that, but she's been saying things. Serious things. About me. What kind of things? That I did that with Teresa, that I raised her hair on purpose, and she's spreading that. For friends. Over the internet. It's defaming me. My father looked at me furiously. Sophia, go down here. I went down, shaking. And truth? Are you saying that? I just, yes or no? Yes, but it's because, there is no but, he shouted. You'll stop it now, or I swear you never leave this house again. Marcos, please, Fabiana said, with a soft voice, pretending to be the pacifying. I understand Sophia. She loves her mother. She wants to defend. But this is not true. And if you continue, I will need to take legal action. Defamation processing. He understands? She was threatening me. There, in my face, and my father didn't see. Sophia, you will apologize. Now. I looked at Fabiana. She smiled. That smile I hated. And I knew she had discovered. I knew she knew I was investigating. And I heard that the war had started. I'm sorry, I said, the voice coming out low, forced. Okay, Sophia, Fabiana replied, sweet as poison. I know you didn't want to cause a problem, but now that we have talked, I'm sure it won't be repeated, right? She looked deep into her eyes, and there was a clear message there. Careful. I know what you are doing, and if you continue, you are the next. I had just turned 13 when I learned that courage is not being afraid. It is being afraid and doing it anyway. After that night, Fabiana threatened me in my own home. I stayed 3 days without sleeping. Every noise scared me. Each shadow looked like her. I knew I was going into a dangerous game, a game that I could lose. But every time I saw my mother walking around the house with that cap on my head, with that empty look, I remembered why I had to continue, so I continued. I marked finding Jessica in a square near the school on a Saturday morning. I said to my parents I was going to study at a friend's house. My mother barely paid attention. She was increasingly distant, increasingly erased. Jessica was sitting on a bench, cap and sunglasses, as if hiding. When he saw me, he waved. I approached nervously. Hi, I said. Hi, Sophia. Sit. I sat next to her. She took off her glasses, and I saw the thin eyebrows, poorly designed with pencil, trying to hide that they were false. I know, she said, realizing my gaze. Never grew up right again. It was a flaw, so I tattoo. It's the way. I'm sorry, I whispered. It wasn't your fault. It was hers. She opened her bag and took off her cell phone. An old cell phone that she said she used just to keep evidence. I kept everything. Since the day I started to receive the messages, she showed me. They were dozens, hundreds. Anonymous messages of different numbers, but all with the same tone, the same hatred. You don't deserve it. Get out of Raphael's life or you'll regret it. Ugly, fat. He's just with you for pity. Be careful when you go to sleep. You never know what can happen. My stomach rapped. How long did it last? 3 months, until the day I woke up without eyebrows. Then I finished with Raphael and blocked everything. I changed number. I even changed neighborhood. I was afraid, Sophia. Very fear. And you never told him? She gave a bitter laugh. I told. He said I was being paranoid. That no one would do such a thing. That I should look for a psychologist because I was too stressed. And when I insisted, he got angry. He said I was making an excuse to end with him. So I gave up. I preferred to be the villain of the story than to die trying to prove the truth. She looked at me, her teary eyes. When your grandmother told me what happened to her mother, I cried, Sophia, Because I knew. I knew Fabiana was going to do it again, and I didn't warn. I didn't have the courage. You're warning now, I said, holding her hand. And that matters. She nodded, clearing her tears. So what do? We join everything. Your evidence, mine, and we expose her. In front of everyone. In front of my brother. For him not to deny. What if he doesn't believe it anyway? At least we tried. And other people will know. She won't be able to do it again. Jessica took a deep breath. It's okay. I'm with you. But it has to be in a public place. With witnesses. Because if she knows before, she will disappear with the tests. Or worse. I knew what the worst was. And yet, I nodded. It will be public. I promise. I spent the next few weeks planning. Noting everything in a notebook I hid under the mattress. Jessica sent me to print the messages by email. I printed on the hidden LAN house. I gathered everything in a folder. I organized by date, by type of proof. Cloth stained with my mother's hair. Verified. Depilatory cream receipt. Verified. Tea bottle. Verified. Threatening messages for Jessica. Verified. I had an arsenal. Now I just needed the right time. And the moment came. My grandmother called, excited. Teresa, did you forget? Sunday is my birthday. I'm going to make lunch here at home. I want everyone together. My mother sighed. Mom, I don't know if... No, I don't know. You will come. And Raphael too. I already talked to him. He confirmed. Raphael was going to be there. And if Raphael was going, Fabiana was going. It was my chance. I told the plan for Jessica. She got nervous, but agreed. She was going to appear at lunch in the middle, as a surprise. It was going to bring her tests, and I was going to bring mine. I didn't tell my mother. I couldn't risk that she stopped me, or worse, not to tell my father, who would tell Raphael, who would tell Fabiana. I had to do it alone. Well, almost alone. On Friday before lunch, I sat with my mother in the kitchen. She was peeling potatoes, distracted. Mom, can I ask you something? Of course, daughter. Do you still believe it was Fabiana? She stopped. He looked at me. Why are you asking that? I just want to know. Do you believe? She sighed, peeling again. No matter what I believe, Sophia, no one else believes, and I'm tired of fighting. But what if there was a way to prove it? Would you want? She dropped the knife. He stared at me. Sophia, what are you getting ready? Nothing. Only a hypothesis. Don't mess with that, daughter. Please, I don't want to lose you too. Her voice broke, and I saw that she had given up, not believing, but to fight. But I had not given up, and on Sunday, everything would change. A Sunday has arrived sunny. My grandmother lived in a simple house with a large backyard and a wooden table under a tree where she made her family lunches. We arrived early, my handkerchief mother on my head, my father's father. I dressed my grandmother had asked. Gradually, uncles and cousins were coming. Hugs, laughs, food on the stove, and then they arrived. Raphael and Fabiana. She was beautiful, as always. White dress, impeccable hair, advertising smile. He greeted everyone, distributed kisses, praised the house, the food, the decoration, and when she came close to my mother, she hugged her. Teresa, I miss you. How are you? My mother was tense, but returned the hug. I'm fine, Fabiana. Thanks. The hair is growing, right? Great. Soon it's normal again. Normal. As if it were so simple. Raphael greeted my mother from afar. No hug, no kiss, just an high, dry. She tried to smile, but he had already turned to the side, talking to my father. I watched everything, each gesture, each word, each falsehood, and I waited. Lunch started. Everyone sitting on the big table. Fartar food, overlapping conversations. My grandmother in the center, happy, erasing the candles of the cake they had made for her. It was in the middle of the dessert that Jessica appeared. She went through the gate slowly, nervously. My grandmother saw her first. Jessica, what a surprise. Get in, daughter. Raphael looked up. It was pale. Jessica, what are you doing here? Fabiana turned rigid. The smile disappeared. Hi, Raphael, Jessica said, the voice firm. Sorry to appear like that, but I needed it. I needed to say something. In front of everyone. Speak what? He asked, confused. About her. Jessica pointed to Fabiana. The silence fell on the table like a stone. Oh no, Fabiana muttered, getting up. I won't be here listening to this. Sit, my grandmother said. The voice lasts. Sit and listen. Fabiana looked around. Everyone looked at her. She sat slowly, her red face of anger. Jessica took a deep breath. When I was dating Raphael 2 years ago, I started receiving messages, anonymous messages, threats, saying I didn't deserve him, that I should disappear from his life. I was going to regret if I didn't end. That's crazy, Fabiana started. Let her finish, my grandmother cut. Jessica continued. I thought it was a joke, until one night, after having a tea that a friend offered me, I slept deeply, and when I woke up, my eyebrows were gone, scraped, completely. Murmurs exploded at the table. I finished with Raphael. I changed a city, because I was afraid, fear of those who had done that. And now Now I know who it was. She looked straight to Fabiana. It was you. Lie, Fabiana shouted, getting up again. She's inventing. She has always been crazy. Raphael, tell them. Raphael was in shock. I looked at Jessica, Fabiana, not knowing what to say. It's not a lie, I said, getting up too. And I can prove it. Everyone looked at me. I went as far as I had hidden the folder. I went back to the table. This here, I said, taking the stained cloth. It's a cloth that was on Fabiana's purse on wedding day. It has my mother's hair stuck. I put it on the table. Everyone approached, looking. This, I continued, taking the receipt, is the purchase note of 3 professional depilatory units, purchased 3 days before the wedding, in her name. I put it on the table. And this here, Jessica said, taking off her cell phone. It's more than 200 threat messages I've received, all of different numbers, but all with the same writing pattern, the same vocabulary, the same person. She passed the cell phone. The people Liam, horrified. Fabiana was trapped. I looked around, desperate. It proves nothing. You so arming against me, you two, because they are envy. Envy of what? I shouted. Of someone who destroys people for fun? Which scrapes a woman's hair on her son's own wedding day? What threat? Manipulates and mind. He arrives! Raphael exploded, getting up. Enough, Sophia. You are a child. You don't know anything. I know you're blind, I shouted back, the tears falling. Blind and manipulated. She destroyed our mother, destroyed Jessica, and it will destroy you too. Raphael, my mother whispered, getting up. Son, please, look at the tests. Only, look. He looked at the table, to cloth, pro receipt, for the cell phone, and my mother's face, pro scarf that still covered her head, and for the first time, I saw doubt in his eyes. Fabiana, he said, his voice shaking. That is true. Of course, she shouted, hysterical. I love you. I would never do that. Then explains the receipt, my grandmother said, pointing. Explains the messages, explains the cloth. I bought the cream for me, to shave the legs. 3 units? I countered. Professional cream? For marriage? She opened her mouth, closed, had no answer. Raphael took the receipt, read, reread, and saw. I saw the exact moment when the record fell, where Fabiana's mask cracked in front of him. Did you do that? He asked, his voice disappearing. Raphael, love, don't believe them. They so trying to separate us. Did you do this with my mother? The scream echoed through the backyard. Everyone was silent. Fabiana retreated, her eyes wide, and then the smile disappeared. The mask fell completely, and what's left was anger, pure anger. What if I did it? She said, the cold voice. What if I did, Raphael? His mother deserved. That mediocre woman, with that ridiculous hair, wanting to appear more than me at my wedding, she deserved to be humiliated. The world stopped. My mother took her hand to her mouth. Sabando. Raphael turned white, and Fabiana, realizing what she had said, tried to take it back. No, that's not what I was nervous. I didn't mean, leave, Raphael said, his voice low but firm. Raphael, get out of my front. Now. She tried to get closer. He backed away. Don't touch me. Go away. Now. Fabiana looked around. He saw that he had no allies. He saw that he had lost. And with one last look of hatred at me, he grabbed his bag and ran away, and I finally breathed. Raphael collapsed. He sat in the chair, his face in his hands, crying. My mother approached, slowly, and placed her hand on his shoulder. Mom, I'm sorry. I didn't know. It's okay, son. It is good too. But it wasn't. I saw it in her eyes. The pain was still there. The humiliation was still there. But at least now, she wasn't alone, and Fabiana had been exposed. But 3 days later, I received a message from an unknown number. Do you think you won, Sophia? This is far from over. I'll see you soon. My blood ran cold, because I knew who sent it, and he knew that the war was not over yet. The message burned on my screen for days. Do you think you won, Sophia? This is far from over. I'll see you soon. I showed it to my brother. He turned white. He called the police immediately. They registered a police report. Threat. Harassment. Everything documented. But I knew it wouldn't stop there. Fabiana was not the type to accept defeat. She was the type to fight back. And strong. So I prepared myself. I changed the locks at home. I convinced my father to install cameras. I started to always hang out with someone. Jessica too. We knew she was going to try something. And he tried. It was 2 weeks later. I was coming home from school when I saw it. I saw her standing on the corner, across the street. Sunglasses, hood, but I recognized it. I would recognize her anywhere. She didn't move. He just stood there, watching me, like a predator studying its prey. My heart raced. I picked up my cell phone and called my brother. Raphael, she's here, around the corner from the school. Stay where you are. I'm already going. And I'm going to call the police. He arrived in 10 minutes, with 2 police officers. But when they arrived, she was already gone, like smoke. She just wants to scare you, Raphael said, hugging me. but he won't come near you, I promise." He was wrong. The following night, our house was broken into. They didn't steal anything, but they left a message, written on the mirror in my mother's room with red lipstick. "Hair grows, but scars don't." My mother panicked. He cried all night. My father called the police again. This time they took it seriously. Arrest warrant, restraining order, active search. Raphael was destroyed. He had married a monster, and I hadn't noticed. "How was I so blind?" he asked one night, sitting in the living room, his head in his hands. "She was good at that," I said. "To deceive, manipulate, making everyone believe he was a victim. But mother suffered so much, and I didn't believe her." His voice broke, and in that moment, I saw it. I saw that my brother was also a victim. Not in the same way as my mother, but he had been manipulated, used, deceived. "You believe it now," I said, "and he's doing the right thing now. That's what matters." Fabiana was found 3 days later, trying to leave the state with a fake passport, arrested in the act, taken straight to the police station. The process was quick. The evidence was irrefutable. Threat, invasion, bodily injury. My mother's hair and Jessica's eyebrows were classified as aggression. She got 2 years in prison and permanent restraining order. Raphael immediately filed for divorce, annulment actually, alleging fraud and bad faith, and he succeeded. Fabiana tried to appeal. He cried in court. He said he was innocent, that she was being persecuted, but the judge looked at the evidence, at the witnesses, and banged the gavel. "You are a threat, and he will answer for everything he did." As she was led out of the courtroom in handcuffs, she looked at me and smiled. That smile, even defeated, even destroyed, she still tried to scare me, but I was no longer afraid, because I had won. The months that followed were healing. My mother's hair grew, slowly, but it grew. She underwent treatment, bought vitamins. He took care of it with care, and little by little, the wires came back. Thinner than before, more fragile, but they came back. And with her hair, her confidence returned. The smile returned. He came back to life. She took off the tissues. He left the house without shame. He started looking in the mirror again and recognizing himself. Raphael moved back closer to us. He asked for forgiveness 1,000 times. I brought flowers every week. I spent the Domingos with us. He tried, his way, to fix what he had broken. And my mother, generous as always, forgave, because it was her nature. Forgive, love, move on. Today, 10 years later, when I look back, I see everything with a clarity that only time brings. I was 12 years old when I saw my bald mother at my brother's wedding. 12 years when I learned that evil exists, that she disguises her, that she smiles, that she wears white dress and looks like an angel. But I also learned that courage exists, that she lives in unlikely places, in a 13-year-old girl, in a traumatized ex-girlfriend, in a grandmother who refuses to accept injustice. I learned that justice takes time, but it arrives. And I learned that scars, no matter how deep, do not define who we are. They just show that we survived. My mother today is 53 years old. The hair grew. It was not the same as before. It got shorter, thinner, with some flaws. But she learned to love the way she is. She works at a school now, teaches craft classes to children, and whenever a girl arrives quiet, scared, looking to the floor, my mother sits next door, and conversation, and hear, and it teaches that no one deserves to be humiliated, that everyone deserves to be seen, be heard, be loved. She became the defender that she herself needed one day. And me? I became a lawyer, specializing in psychological violence, in cases of manipulation, gaslighting, emotional abuse, because I saw what this does with a person, and I swore I was going to help those who go through it. Jessica also moved on, opened a channel about abusive relationships, helps thousands of women identify signs, leaving before it's late. She tattooed her eyebrows and says they are a memory, not of pain, but the strength she discovered. Last month, my mother and I were sitting on the porch of home. It was late afternoon. The sun hit her face, and the hair shone golden. "Mom, can I ask one thing?" "Of course, daughter." "Do you regret it? To have forgiven? Not to have sued anymore? Letting her go out so easy?" She thought, took a sip of tea, smiled. "No, because if I had kept hatred, I was going to suffer. She has already been punished, already paid, and I chose to move on. I chose to be free. And was it? What? Free?" She looked at me, and saw. I saw that, yes, that she had been free. Not what happened, but the weight of carrying that. I went, Sophia, and I am. Every day I choose to be. I held her hand, and we stayed there in silence, watching the sunset. Fabiana left prison last year, served the penalty, changed city. Namely, they say. I don't know where she is, and I don't want to know, because her story doesn't matter anymore. The story that matters is my mother's, and mine, and that of all the women who were destroyed by people like her, but got up. That day, 10 years ago, I learned something that I carry to this day. Evil wears elegant disguises. She smiles, she hugs, it looks harmless, but underneath, it destroys. And I also learned that the pain in the eyes of those we love is the worst pain there is, but it is also the pain that moves us, that makes us fight, that makes us turn warriors. I will never forget my mother's eyes that day at marriage. I will never forget the shame, the humiliation, the pain, but I will never forget the day she took the scarf for the first time and went out on the street with a highly up. I will never forget her smile when the first hair grew again, and I will never forget the strength she taught me to have, because in the end, it was not the hair that defined my mother. It was the courage. It was love. It was the decision not to let evil to win. And she didn't win. We won. Taitiket inaing today, when I look in the mirror, I see part of my mother in me. The same stubbornness, the same desire to fight for what is right, the same fierce love for I love. And I know that if one day I have a daughter, I will teach her what my mother taught me, that we are not what they did to us. We are what we decide to be after, what hair grows, what wounds come out, that life continues, and that in the end, love always wins. Always. Wakin you? Have you ever seen someone who loves to be humiliated and couldn't do anything? Or did you get it? Count here in the comments. Because stories like this need to be told. They need to be heard, so that no other mother, no other woman, needs to go through it alone. Subscribe to the channel, activates the bell, and share this story. Because justice is not just punishing those who made a mistake. It is making those who suffered know that they are not alone, and that we are here, together, always. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for believing. Until the next story.